Greetings and welcome back to Carl's Conversations. This is the safe place to have difficult conversations. And to be quite honest with you, the safe place to have any kind of conversation you want to have. This is for interesting people with interesting stories, and we're not afraid to tell those stories. We tell some stories that other webcasts or podcasts may shy away from, but we don't. And as you can see right back on the other side of the screen, a very familiar face to those of you who follow me here at Carl's Conversations. We have Apostle Larry G. Brown Sr., and this is part two of a conversation that we had just a few weeks ago. And if you missed part one of this conversation of Apostle Brown talking about his ministry legacy projects, we're talking about his books, those that he has published, and also those that he's working on and are getting ready to publish. And let me tell you, we could talk for a couple of hours just about that. It is a tremendous process that he's going through to get those books out in a short amount of time. And this comes from someone that is quote unquote, not necessarily a professional, someone who wasn't formally trained in an area. But one thing I admire about this man, if you give him a mission, no matter how impossible it may be, even if he grabs his head, he is going to get the mission done. And that's what we see here, tenacity. And we're also going to continue to talk about his tremendous presence in the community. He is, I try to avoid saying community leaders. I like using the word community advocates. And the work that Apostle Brown has done, is doing, and shall do in the community in the Northern Virginia area. He's an advocate. He's been an advocate for the poor. He's been an advocate for the homeless, an advocate for the voiceless, an advocate for those who don't yet have Christ but are looking for him. He's been a friend to many in need, and he's done a lot of giving and counseling and helping behind the scenes. And I'm not talking about necessarily monetary help, even though he's done that too. There are various ways to help people. And sometimes it's just helping people get on the right track, helping them find their own way, helping them find their own voice, helping to bring out their gifts. Sometimes people just need a listening ear. And so I'm going to step aside for a few moments, and I'm going to hand the microphone and the camera to Apostle Brown to give him a few moments to formally introduce himself to those of you who may not know him. There's going to be an introduction. But for those of you who've seen him around, it'll be a friendly presentation. Apostle Brown, I want you to take a few moments to, in your own way, to tell the people who you are.
Well, God bless all. God bless you, Overseer Armstrong, for allowing me to come on one more time. It's still kind of hard for me to talk about myself. I'm a pastor, been a pastor for 26 years. I'm the founding visionary for Hartford Community Initiative and presiding prelate for Apostolic Fire Fellowship International. And if you know anything about me, I tend to connect the dots across the three ministries. When you look at the seals and the logos, you'll see a lot of the same similarities. But at my core, I'm just a guy that's trying to help people, as Overseer Armstrong said, try to be an advocate, try to rally people to the cause, be collaborative in the sense that we work with, even before Hartford Community, we work with other agencies, churches, nonprofits, businesses, government, and individuals. But I'm kind of in a different zone now. All that is true, but I'm into grief counseling, conference about grief and caregiving. So it's not something I wanted to do, but God has taken me down this path, and I'm trying to navigate this newness, to include newness of life without my beloved spouse of 45 years. So thank God for all of you that are watching now and potentially who will watch the replay. Thank you.
Well, I tell you, I want to start right there to talk about that other half, that wife, who I don't think people realize how significant she was in your life and ministry, your decision making, even maybe even your Marine Corps career. And from what I can gather, she has been such a thrust and driving force behind so much of what you're doing, even in her physical absence. If you don't mind, I just want to talk about Pastor Janice Brown, uh, aka Nisi from the South Side,
Oh, West Side.
the West Side.
It'll
Well, I
be
tell you, she was a wonderful woman to me. Lord knows I've respected and I loved her, but nobody can really tell us about how significant she was to you and how she's affected what you're doing now. Do you mind talking about it?
Oh, sure. But let me lead in like this. All the books that I've written, uh, Janice was in it. You know, from the first book, because it's been 2.5 years and 5 books have been published. But Faith and Favor, a Winning Combination, that told our story uh, from military to post-military and all that. And then I was about to write another book titled uh, How to Endure the Early and Lineage of Ministry. I had to put that on hold because after she transitioned, then devotion and action came about. And then grief runs deeper, grace runs deeper. And then I recently published a book to my sons in the faith. Presently, I'm working on the book titled God Commanded Me to Live, Many Survive. And Janice was such a great person, a woman of God, great mother, very supportive in ministry, clergy, evangelist, missionary, prophetess, co-founder, co-pastor. She did so many things over her life. And so to tell you about it, her is hard because after she transitioned, I found notes that I didn't know she had. She told me years ago that the title of a book would be God Commanded Me to Live. And so I want you to understand my struggle right now. God commanded me to live uh, probably 3 months out from completion will be a paperback, but it's hard to write because it's not a story about her journey of 18 years dealing with a certain sickness. That's not what it's about. It's about her faith, her tenacity. But it's hard to imagine. Let's say you are married to someone for 45 years and you got all this knowledge and history, but to see what she wrote, she wrote everything. She prayed about a thing, and then she came back and she wrote uh, the outcome of the thing, and she thanked God. So you can see in her writings that she was an intercessor. She was a praying woman. That she prayed about everything. Me, my children, the ministries, and so I saw her in a totally different light in her writings. I knew in person, but she's the real deal. She's a package deal. And yeah, many people know she didn't play either, but she was a loving woman. And she raised many spiritual daughters. So without a specific question about her, I can't. I do know that she's still with me in my heart and in my spirit. And as I go forward in life, I'm taking her with me because she have imparted so much. There's no way I can let it go, nor do I want to let it go.
That's amazing. And I realized very quickly when I came around Spirit of Truth how significant she was, not only to you, but to the ministry and the other leaders in the ministry. She definitely had a presence. And I can testify, Pastor Janice didn't play. And I say that in a very loving way. She was serious and committed about anything that she had her hands into do. That's one of the many things that I appreciated about her. Let me ask you, during the time that she was with you and she was talking about her book, where you are in your writing concerning her, because I know that you have picked up from her notes and all, from what she was telling you and what you imagined the book would be. And now that you have it, and you're taking from your time together with her, from her notes, from her sermons, is there a big gulf from what you thought it would be and what it's turning out to be?
Well, think about this for a second. It's a very emotional thing to do. Um, I've been on 14 chapters a long time, and then I have to go back and beef up the chapters. But every time I would go back and see what I wrote and compared it to what she had in writing, because it's not a one-for-one lip. I'm not taking something from a diary or entry and pasting it there. I'm massaging it. I'm trying to tell a story. But because we were so close and deeply in love, it's a painful and emotional thing to go back and read, and then at the same time realize she's not physically here. And then on the other hand, you want to do her justice. I'm not telling my story. I am telling her story, and I'm telling it in a way that will encourage women and perhaps some men too, but more so women. I want the women to understand, hey, think how women are treated historically, even now. You may be denied a promotion, you may be looked down upon, you may be criticized, you may be held back. No matter what the situation, no matter what organization we were in church wise, she navigated that. Where starting out as a minister, and then and she didn't want all that anyway. You know, she followed me. When I said God called me to be a minister, she supported me. And when I said God called me to be a pastor, she supported me, although she didn't want to be a first lady. So she navigated every challenge. Uh, I failed to mention a military wife as well, traveling to different bases. So she's remarkable in the sense that no matter what challenge, she overcame that challenge. So I want, when the book is published, I want people to look and say, because all of my books, everything is not for everybody, but you will find something in those books that will motivate you and encourage you. You will find, see, if she did it, I can do it too. What are you talking about? A sickness and maintaining faith and just going forward, believing God no matter what. What are you talking about? Holding down a job. She had several jobs, and sometimes she was uh, discriminated against and held back. Uh, uh, there was so much. So no matter what circumstance she was in, she overcame it. She overcame it with grace, and sometimes she would put a finger up and she meant it, but she overcame it. And that's the remarkable things. Like I was trying to say before, she is more than I even thought she was. And I think about this sometimes. What if she didn't write these things down? What if she didn't leave that record? And I found out from various groups, spousal grieving groups, people they look. No one left anything, or they didn't go looking. They didn't want to look. I count myself blessed having to go look and find these things. And I think because she knew me so well, she probably knew me so well. She knew I was going to find it, because there was certain interviews where she would say, "Make sure this is put in the book," and then explain why. It was like she was talking to me. Make sure you capture this in the book. So I'm just at awe as to how this whole thing unfolded. Uh, do I want to hear it with me? I sure do. I miss her tremendously. But she's left me with so much. That's why I use the word legacy all the time. I will not let her memory, I will not let her become dishonored in any way. I will carry her forward even into the ministries that have not been fully uh, achieved or realized yet. So I'll leave it at that.
Amazing. When we talk about legacy, and that's much of what you're doing now. You're building legacy. When it comes to Pastor Janice Brown, you have just given us a litany of goodness about who she was and the impact that she's had on you and ministry and other people. Definitely, she has sons and daughters who admired her and followed her through the years that she stood beside you, not just in ministry, but I'm sure there were several young military wives that she had to pull aside and say, "Look, baby, this is how you do this," because it's not an easy life. We're talking about legacy here. I'm going to set the question up with an example because this is the best way I can explain it. I lost my mother last year, the most significant loss that I've had. And sometimes, as I'm living out my life, I wonder what would my mother say to me in this time, because that's part of her legacy, what she put in me. As you're moving through, not just with her book, but the other books, what you're doing at Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church as the senior pastor, what you're doing at Apostolic Fire Fellowship as the prelate, what you're doing at Heart for the Community Initiative as the founder and president, what you're doing at Larry Brown Ministries, and all these other things that you have your hand in. What would you say her overall legacy was? And what do you think that she would be saying to you now if she was sitting in that room with you off camera?
Yeah, those actually are tough questions. Um, I think she would be proud of my accomplishments. Um, I think she would challenge me too, because I've had my moments where I'm like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. But I've learned that she's in everything, every book. She's in every book. Uh, Look in the house. I still can't even imagine how she kept this house so clean. I'm having trouble myself, you know what I'm saying? Especially her standard. But the quality of the things that she purchased. Um, I find myself thinking a lot about, I've come to a point now where I think about a lot of the good days, the fun times, and um, I think about when life was good and it wasn't such a chore, And a lot of times people think that ministry is just such a burden. But actually, when you are in it together, the two pillars, I like to say now, the first lady and the pastor, however that works out. The first lady could also be clergy, could be pastor. I don't get into all that. But the nucleus, the husband and the wife, that team, I didn't think I was going to go here tonight, but I will. That is the foundation of the ministry. No matter what you do, that is the foundation. Never forget, we want people, we love people, we empower people. But at the end of the day, it's you and your better half in this thing together. And I've learned that, didn't see it at first. I know how she was in the background, telling me stuff and advising me. Sometimes I wouldn't listen, but then I would come around. But when you lose that pillar, you will find out that, look, it's like, I'm going to use, I'm not trying to use fancy words tonight. We prop each other up. And so when you don't have the other one to lean on, whether that's like for counsel or, well, sometimes I value even correction or rebuke. You know, if you don't have that other one there, you find yourself like in a lonely place. So I kind of went through that for a few months until I became like, I was lopsided, but I became straight again. It was like when I incorporated all of what she wrote in me and all that I can remember and move forward, it became easier. But I'm trying to go down this path because I think a lot of people, they want to be pastors. They want to be first ladies. Not a bad thing to want to be, but I don't think they know what they're getting into. This is no joke. This is no Sunday to Sunday. This is your life, right? Being in ministry can consume you, and you have to learn how to handle it. Um, and that's why you need and thank God for the good people that come along and help with the ministry burdens. Um, I was trying to stay on track, but I want to kind of part of the legacy now is this: it's a lessons learned legacy. Don't make the same mistakes of the past. Don't be so inviting. Don't be so trusting. Don't be. As you go forth now, you're going to need strong people, male and female, uh, young adults, you. You're going to need that package all to come together to be an effective ministry during these times. We are living in different times. We got a mixture. Some folks want social media. Some folks want in person. Some folks want big ministry with large congregations. Some folks want small. Some folks want you to come to the house. All of this. So as I'm branching forth now, I have shifted in so many ways. A ministry, provided they have enough people, you can have specialized fields. All right. You will minister to the homeless. You will minister to the folks that are incarcerated. You will minister to the online crowd. You will minister. And so that way we get out of the mindset is that we're all sitting in the congregation in the building somewhere and this is what we're doing. No, we got to be everywhere. And that's what I'm getting to. But here's where I'm stopping. I cannot be everywhere. I cannot do everything. So from this day forward, I will not empower people that cannot hold down their area of ministry because that's going to hurt the overall thing. It's going to hurt lives. So I have not put this in any book, but this is what I've learned on the job over these 20 something years in ministry. God sent various ones with various skill sets and anointing. We, the leadership, we have to find out how do we utilize these people in the right areas that they will be effective in ministry, but in a sense they impact and help transform lives. So I'm not sure I answered your question, but that's where I am.
You absolutely did. You have made mention of lessons learned as you are putting out your projects through these books. Is that one of your motivating factors to share your wealth of experience and information so that you can help others have maybe an easier way or a little better understanding? In other words, are the lessons learned, is that part of what's pushing you as you build a legacy here?
Absolutely. Um, I thought I was kind of done to a certain degree when I finished How to Endure the Early and Lean Years of Ministry. That captured New Start. That captured the lean years. Think COVID. Think about how many churches had to shut their doors and have not opened them again. So New Start is one thing. Because not everybody's going to be, inherit a ministry or they're going to hire you and you get all this staff and all this money and everything. You don't need nothing. No, early and lean years. You have to have experienced that to teach somebody else. And so I had that manuscript, if you will, lessons learned in that. And then when I was challenged on the 26th anniversary uh, service, uh, one person I thought historically over 20 years, a friend, the apostle, the doctor, she connected the dots and said, hey, you all are together. He's going to be part of your legacy. So that drove me to write and quickly um, to my sons in the faith. And that's when I recognized I have many sons. But I wrote that book, see, went out to blue. It's like how Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy. So I approached that book with, hey, all sons in the faith and people who are looking, understand what it means to be a true spiritual father. Understand what it means to be a true son, what it means to be at the feet of that spiritual father, gleaning that knowledge that was only acquired or gained over painful years of experience, lessons learned, however common, and so forth and so on. And initially, I wasn't even thinking of myself as a spiritual father. Then I thought, wait a minute. I've been plowing this ground for many years. I've been in many organizations to include the military, to include post-military, team lead, whatever, supporting the government. I've been in ministry overall it's about 30 years. I have something to offer, not because I read it in a book, not because I quote scriptures left and right and backwards and forward. It's because I lived this thing. I made mistakes and I adjusted along the way to include attitude. Now I can say, my son, let me help you with your current situation. I have spiritual daughters too, but I tend to default to uh, Pastor Janice had spiritual daughters. But I have spiritual daughters too. Matter of fact, I made a pledge, part of legacy, because I know Pastor Janice wanted to go to these foreign countries and minister. And so I had pledged that I was going to create an international travel fund to send her spiritual daughters to different countries to minister the gospel. So yeah, it's you become this person over a period of time. You become because you have mentors and you had spiritual fathers, and but then time go by and now you become that seasoned spiritual father, capable mentor. And this is what call it a kingdom general, if you will. And here's the other thing. I hear a lot of people say, I got many mentors. I don't want a lot of mentors. I'm sorry. I'm going to glean so much from each one. I prefer spiritual father. I know who the spiritual fathers were in my life. Many of them have went on to be with the Lord. But the spiritual fathers loved me in spite of me. They saw my mistakes, but they also saw my future. They didn't they didn't they didn't kill me, so to speak. They saw, they covered, and they helped me until I achieved things down the road. Sometimes it takes time for people to drop their pride, their arrogancy, their self-sufficiency. They know it all, not realizing you don't. Because all someone has to do is put a load on you. And if you're not ready to carry that load, it will show. It's best to get at the feet of a spiritual father that really love you. Glean, don't rush. And then if you find yourself out here on the pastoral battlefield, don't disconnect because there's still a whole lot more learning that you can get from the other person. So I'll leave it at that.
Would I would chime in to say that you have now become one of those fathers. And so I guess it's almost like it's your turn now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that those who fathered you probably felt what you're feeling now. So many of their spiritual fathers and their mentors had gone on to be with the Lord, and then it was their turn. All that preparation, and now here it is. You sit in, excuse me, you sit in the seat. I want to take a turn here in the conversation to talk about your work in the community, and I want to kind of pick your brain here to see how you see yourself in the community. What is your role? Uh, why do you choose community advocacy? There's a lot of other things that you could do, and I know that you're the type of person when you do something you want to do it well, and I believe you do that well. But how do you see yourself in the community, especially with a bold name like Heart for the Community Initiative? Now, I was there. I understand how we got there, but many don't. So once again, how do you see yourself in the community?
Okay. I see myself in the community as, although I'll say founding visionary, more than one visionary in our meetings, initial meetings, currently the president. But I look at that as more of an administrative role, uh, keep things moving forward. But I gain a certain amount of joy and pleasure, if you will, from being in the community, just talking to people. I love to talk about Christ. I love to lead people to Christ. I love to pray for people right there on the spot. And I know there's like 1,001 events that you can go to, and people say, "Well, we offer Christ." And I beg to disagree. It's not the main point. I prefer to make offering Christ to people the main point. Otherwise, it's going to get caught up in everything, right? And then we got, we did this great thing, this big thing. You sure did. And this is kind of why I came off of the Crusades, because I was about to do the fourth Crusade. I got kind of disillusioned because you can always get church folks to show up and do something, and but then they go back to their church. They go, oh, who invite? Did anybody invite the unsaved? No, because we were doing what we were doing. Hey, it's a big old thing. We got the choir, we got the teacher, we got the altar, we got everything. We got the band, we got the musicians, all that. And it costs a lot of money to do it. But we go back home to our church. So something has happened. The Great Commission didn't say you got to go and rent a big old hall to win souls. It didn't say win souls, but bring in all this other stuff. Not that it's bad, but who's going to maintain the integrity of when you combine the Great Commandment with the Great Commission? When are we going to show that love? We talk about it, we come to church and we talk about this love, right? When we're talking to ourselves about this love, and sometimes we're not even that loving ourselves. Why can't we go to the underprivileged neighborhoods? Oh, let me stop the affluent neighborhood as well, because they need to know Christ also. So this is me. It has always been from the inception. I wasn't the one that came up with, Heart for the Community. It was, she's an evangelist now, Briscoe Williams.
Mm-hmm.
That was her. But all we're doing is taking the heart of God. So how does God feel about it, right? What would he do? People say, what would Jesus do? We're taking the heart of God to the community. So what's the rub? I'm going to say this, and I may not get invited no more. Some people do not have the heart of God. That's why witnessing is foreign to them. They'll say, I'm not evangelist. Well, anybody ask you to be no evangelist? Can you witness? Can you tell somebody how good God is? Can you see they need to be prayed for? Can you see they need a meal? This is about being a credible witness. It's not about a title. It's not about that. It's sure. Well, I'm going to have fun. You can have fun soul winning. And when you're not soul winning and praying for folk, you can also have some other kind of fun. You can go to the food truck and get your meal. You can socialize with the other vendors. You can do all that. But when we don't have a mindset that we want to show love and compassion to people who don't know Christ yet, then we are missing it. And I submit this is my point of view. It's not an indictment. This is how I feel, and it drives who I am. I'd rather be on a street corner preaching rather than being in a pulpit prime time on a Sunday morning. It is who I am.
Amazing. Now, how did you get your start in community work? Of course, we know you have these 26 years in pastoral ministry. I tell you what, a wise person told me. It was a piece of advice as I was launching. That very wise person told me, always remember, you're not just the pastor of Transition Place, but you're the community's pastor. Because everybody who sees you anywhere will know that you're Pastor Armstrong. You may not be their pastor, but you're also the community's pastor. And that set with me. It really painted a picture that I had not quite seen before. And I'm wondering if maybe it was something like that that got you started in your community work.
I don't think so. I can trace it back. When I was still in the Marine Corps, down at Albany, Georgia, Schools Company, you can imagine having a bunch of young Marines, male and female, in training. And the community had a flood. They call it a 500-year flood. And so I would ask the young Marines, you guys want to go out with me and help the community? This is after the fact. We can go in and we can knock down drywall, and we can help load stuff up and help them haul away. And they said, okay. And then there was times where I was doing fundraisers where I had a goal of like raising like $6,000 like in 3 months. And I did that more than one time. So I would go to the young Marines and say, hey, look, I want to do a car wash. And you guys would be the muscle. And I want to take this money that we make from the car wash, and then we want to give it to the church to do whatever, or X to do whatever. So I was doing that as a Marine Master Sergeant. Matter of fact, when I was doing that, I wasn't even a deacon yet. But it was helping the community. Now, after starting Spirit of Truth and all that, I cannot honestly tell you when I started caring about the community like that. I do know is that when we wanted to do an event, and this is kind of changing a little bit, I learned something, that I would go to other denomination type churches, congregations, different races and cultures. I would go in there and say, hey, look, I want to do this event 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever. I want to rent this park, whatever. And I would go. And they would ask me this as well. How much is your budget? I don't really have a budget, but I get X amount of money. What can you give me for this X amount of money? And they would always receive me and come through. It was remarkable. I would go into the secretary at this nice church. I want to talk to someone about, hey, getting on the calendar to do this. And I kind of had some dates and alternative dates. And they said, come in, let me speak. You need to speak to our pastor. I would go right in there and they would treat me so well. And then the pastor would say, tell him your vision. What are you trying to do? So I would tell them. And they said, you know what? We are larger churches, but we like helping in the community. So I don't know how it all came about, but doors open for me. It's like I can go and get stuff done, and then I be like shocked myself. Why did they let my crazies up in there? I ain't got the money. They let me in, and next you know I get it on the calendar, and it's on. And then folks be talking about, look what Brown doing. I be shaking my head, Brown didn't do nothing. I'm just as shocked as you. I think though, I've always had the ability to ask. I mean, what are they gonna say? No. And then you go to the next one and the next one. Somebody gonna say yes. So I think I kind of became this person that had all this compassion and passion for that kind of work because God opened doors. He always produced. And even when Heart for the Community, I was not really involved in Heart for the Community for a while there. Spirit of Truth was doing Heart for the Community type things anyway. We still were doing it. We was going to the schools. We was going over here. We were still doing it because it's like we need to go where the people are. Because people every time somebody come in, they look. No. Let's go where they are. That means we will have to sacrifice a Saturday or two. That means that we won't be in here on a Sunday because we're in the community. So it kind of started way back when, and then it fast forward. Now I want to say this before and get off that. You need, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to be offensive. You need good help. You need committed help to when you talking about the church level, the nonprofit level, the fellow, you need good people that's willing. They hear the vision. Okay, run with it. Hear it. Volunteer. You can do something. I don't have a lot of money. Didn't ask you for a lot of money, but can you do this? Can you take this table and set it up? Can you put up this tent? Right? Can you take these cases of water and place them in certain places where people that get thirsty got water? Can you do that? Because that's going to require some time, not money. So I'm probably showing a little bit of my frustration, but there's some resistance in doing the basic things that we call witness, serving, reconciling. It's like I don't want to do it. I'm over here doing this, but what does that have to do with soul winning, outreach, evangelist? I had to stop.
Well, you definitely have answered the question, and you're really showing your heart to community, and I appreciate that. This is what we wanted to bring out this evening. Now, when it comes to these legacy projects, you have spoken on this platform before about the ministry campus that you want to build that will house Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church. It will house Apostolic Fire Fellowship International, and it will house Heart for the Community Initiative. As you look beyond the horizon, years after You have gone on to be with the Lord a generation down the road, 2 generations down the road. What do you want this campus to look like, and how do you want it to be of service, not only to the surrounding local and regional community, but to the international community as well?
Well, for starters, and don't ask me how I come up with the dimensions. I want it to be 12 to 15,000 square feet because that's a 250 seat sanctuary for spiritual, and then everything it needs, classrooms, that kind of thing. When I say heart for the community, that's like practical spaces, like a warehouse portion, like for food pantry or tents and that kind of thing, staging. When I say the fellowship, I mean headquarters offices, at least one. But the thing I never thought about before was a recording studio for many reasons. If you had a recording studio, because social media, everything's social media now. So we can do training videos for people overseas. In these various books, I can do portions of it, do video training. So, and someone, well, that's kind of hard to get 12 to 15,000. I agree. But going down the road, guess what? I envision it growing larger. So that could be, who knows how big that is. But people shouldn't shoot it down because it seemed like it's so big. I didn't say I could do it or I would do it. God can do it. But someone has to be the visionary. Someone has to put it forth. And so again, with legacy, I want to be the one that put it forth. I want a plaque in there that says, in loving memory of Pastor Janice Brown. And if I'm gone, whenever that may be, I want something in there to say something about the founder of all this. That is my goal. I don't want it said that after all this effort, prayers, that somehow it just all fell down. No. The right people need to be in place to carry on. Any of us, tomorrow is not promised. Even with our family, our personal business, all that, tomorrow is not promised. We're duty bound to set things in order in writing. So, am I trying to leave here anytime soon? Nope. But I'm the visionary. I'm putting it forth. I believe in God going to bring it to pass, and I am not going to take down on it. That's the crazy, radical faith of Larry. That's crazy and radical than ever before. Y'all ain't seen crazy yet. You have not seen radical faith yet. So somebody's got to do it. And so you say, well, why cross the 3 organizations, if you will? Because the visions are mine. The organizational structure, I put it together. The legal aspect of being 501c3 and all that, I created the initial directors, the initial constitution and bylaws. So yes, someone has to be the founder, someone has to be the catalyst, someone has to be the leader, and someone has to be in position for the handoff. And that must be the right one. You can't give it to somebody going to fumble the ball. You down there getting ready to score the fumble the ball. I'm sorry. I switch gears on you. So hear what I'm saying. Someone has to do it. And I have said, and God has told me a few things too that I'm not even sharing tonight. I'm not making stuff up. I know what God said. So I am the one to carry it forth and say, this is what we're doing. This is what we need to do. Hey, I need y'all to get behind me on this. and not get upset when nobody want to get me. Next, who's going to get behind? Some will not. Just like. So I'll leave it at that.
Amazing. Simply amazing. Let me ask this. It is apparent to me, I'm sure to many others, that you're a trailblazer. Uh, some people do well at coming in and assuming something that has been built, and they do very well at maintaining that and expanding it. They just have a gift for doing that. There's some people who, like yourself, do very well at taking a very abstract idea or vision and then pulling together the pieces and having the wisdom and the charisma to make those pieces work. What do you say to those who may be like you are? They may be trailblazers, but maybe don't have language or understanding for it. Maybe they are frustrated because they've seen so much stuff that has been built and it's already functioning and functioning well, but may not understand that it did not start like that. There was some, what's the name of that first book? The formative years. People see you rolling now, but they didn't see the Pastor Larry Brown of 26 years ago, who's making some mistakes that you don't make now. What kind of advice could you give to those trailblazers who may feel stuck or may be frustrated or may just feel tired, like they're just in quicksand? What could you say to them?
Well, it's not easy. You're going to get tired and you're going to get frustrated, but don't give in to it and resist. I'm trying to say this as polite as I can. While you're doing this, you'll be tempted to share with folks that you think will help you, but you present it like it's a burden. And so they will say to you, let me remove that burden from you and take what you have in essence. I can't tell you how many times I have been invited, requested to join something. And the comparison was, why continue with this little thing when you could just come join the bigger thing? Well, you don't know what you're joining, for one. Two, if you give up what God told you to do, if you give up the little that you have, you're not giving God the opportunity to work with that little that He gave. God knows the end from the beginning. Don't give in to your frustration. Here's the other thing you'll see over a period of time, that God will always send people in due season. Right when you want to give up, right when you want to throw in the towel, God will send someone to encourage you, to finance you, to bring fresh ideas, uh, help you in some way. It has happened to me too many times to say no. I would also say this, and this was in the first book, Faith and Favor is a Winning Combination. And I always cite Janice because it was that first year. Remember, God called me to start the church, so I did. Okay, and I got my two teenagers. I got, you know, um, we doing the announcements, and you know, Janice was doing the praise and worship. My son was on the drums. My daughter was on the keyboard, and they was looking out. They could see out in the parking lot. And there was no cars out there, and so going to mix up these accounts. But my daughter says, "Why are we doing the announcements? Nobody here." And I said, "That kind of." But then that was not too long after that. On a Sunday, I said to Janice, I said, we need to go somewhere and get our praise on. And she looked at me and said, "Brother, you better learn how to get your praise on here." If she had came into agreement with me, Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church would have shut down the first year. Now we 26 years plus. So you're going to have the moments because we're still human, right? And people are going to be looking at it like something wrong with you. You miss God, and why you this? Why you got to know for yourself, and then preferably you got to help me. Somebody standing right next to you. That don't do that. Okay, that's what you need. So that's my best encouragement. Don't give up. Don't let nobody talk you out of your blessing because it is a blessing, but somebody's going to present it as a burden or a curse. It is a blessing. What's that in your hand, Moses? They said it was going to be easy, but what's that? What is in your hand? God gave you something to work with. Use it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm enjoying this. As we begin to wrap up this part 2, and I'm looking forward to part 3, 4, and 5. What would you like to say to the audience? Maybe it's something I didn't ask that maybe it's on your heart that you want to pour out as we begin to wrap up for this evening.
Actually, tonight I don't have anything more, but I did have a desire to come back on for round 2 because I felt like I had more to share. Um, if I would ask anything, pray for me personally and pray for the ministries I'm involved in: Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, Heart for the Community Initiative, Apostolic Fire Fellowship International. Pray. Prayer works. Prayer is effective. Pray that God will send the help that we need. He already knows the type of help, so you just God send them the help. And I'm just going to be right here waiting for them to show up and put them to work. People that know me know I'm going to put you to work. Praise the Lord.
I'm gonna let that look say it all. Don't go around Apostle Larry Brown talking about how good you are X, Y, and Z, because he will soon find out. Well, sir, it's been a delight again to have you here. I'm so glad that you chose Carl's Conversations to come and pour out. This has been wisdom for many, many, and for those who may have missed it in the live stream, you'll certainly get it in the playback, and you'll see some clips over the various social media airways. And if Apostle Brown allows me, I'll throw some clips out maybe on even Heart for the Community and Apostolic Fire Fellowship. We'll
Correct.
see. So this is good stuff, and as much as we can get this out, we want to do that. All right. Well, listen, we're going to say good evening for now. But remember, Carl's Conversations is the safe place to have difficult conversations. You can catch Apostle Larry Brown at Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, and I believe the address was it Joshua Road. What's that? What's the number of Joshua Road?
550.
550 Joshua Road in Stafford, Virginia. That's in the northern part of Stafford County. Joshua Road comes right off of Garrisonville. So make sure you make your way to Spirit of Truth Deliverance Church, 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. And you can catch them online too now. If you can't make it to the church, definitely catch them online, 10 a.m. You can catch them on their Facebook page and also on their website. You can also catch Apostle Brown at the Apostolic Fire Fellowship website. And that information is going along right now at the bottom of your screen on that streamer. You can catch him at Larry Brown Ministries. And you can also see what he's doing at Heart for the Community Initiative at h4tci.org. So please take time to check out these various places, the websites, the social media places. Check out the work. There's a lot of work going on. And so the next time that you tell somebody you bored, remember Apostle Larry G. Brown. He has a job for you. I guarantee it. All right. God bless you all till next time. Bye bye for now.
Good evening.